Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You want to wear this?
Yeah.
And of course, welcome back to this interview. Let's go to Studio 2 where Councillor Tiawan Gongloe is from Miss City. Welcome, Councillor.
Thank you very much. I think this is my first time on your station.
Yeah.
I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for hosting me.
Is this the first time? This is the same?
This is not my first time. I've been coming to Sinoe on different occasions.
Okay.
But this is my first time coming politically.
All right. So once again, let me say welcome. So let's go to a discussion this evening. Let firstly know your mission and sign.
I'm here to show myself to the people of Sinoe in a different way. I've been a lawyer, a human rights advocate. I've been Solicitor General. People of Sinoe know that I've been here many times. I came here to do training for magistrates in 1998. I was lawyer for a medical model. I came here and did some training for magistrates. I've come here on different occasions, but this time I announced in Monrovia that I'm running for the presidency of Liberia on the ticket of the Liberian People's Party. And I came around to show myself to Southeastern Liberia. This is the 5th county I'm coming to. I've been to Grand Jeddah, Maryland, River G, Grand Crew, and now I'm here. I was well received even in standing of the current president. I'm here to encourage the people of Sinoe to register to vote. And I'm here to give them reason why they should register to vote. Because I believe that Liberia is about to receive serious transformation through my leadership as the project manager for the transformation of Liberia.
Okay. So in terms of transformation, let us begin with the issue of transformation. What kind of a transformation you would like to see Liberia after 2023?
You know, before getting to that, let me introduce some guests to me. Dr. Johnson Gibley was a PhD in forestry and teaches at the University of Liberia, is on my delegation. Also, we have Kape is on my delegation that's sitting here. He's a well-trained Liberian journalist. Also, we have, let me introduce the chairman of the Liberian People's Party for Sinoe County, Lester P. And then we have Boris Chopre. Boris Chopre is the head of LPP. LPP is an auxiliary group that is supporting LPP and especially my campaign to be president of Liberia.
Before we go to that transformation, people in the Southeast, more especially Sinoe County, some of them may have heard the name Councillor Tiawan Gongloe, but they don't know much about the name Honorable Gongloe. So can you briefly tell us who is Honorable Gongloe?
I'm a lawyer by training. I'm also an economist. I taught economics at the University of Liberia from 1982 to 1990. And some of my students, evidence of my teaching, the current vice president of Liberia was my student. Justice Kabina Jana was my student. Justice Kaba was my student. The most recent senator of Lower County, Joseph Jala, was my student. There are many, many people who are in government today. Bernie Samuka, former Minister of Defense, and many persons who are in government today are people that I taught at the University of Liberia. And then I worked for 4 years with Dr. Amos Sawyer, who comes from Sinoe County. When he was interim president, I was his executive assistant. And then I became Solicitor General under Ellen Salif for 3.5 years, President Salif. I became Minister of Labor for 1.5 years. And I resigned from our government because of a reluctance to fight corruption effectively. And then my last public activity actually was being president of the Liberian National Bar Association for one term of 3 years.
You've been in the field, you've been in the justice system for, let's say, for all the past time, and other people still wandering around. Why is Councillor Gongloe find interest representing Liberia, let's say at the level of the presidency and leading the justice system?
Our country is a naturally rich country. This is a country in which you grow food without fertilizing your soil. Even around Greenville here, the oranges that we see growing, the plums, all of the trees were not planted. People ate them, dropped the seed, and just grew. And they are growing so well. On our soil, we have diamond, we have gold, we have iron ore, we even have uranium. We cannot qualify as a naturally poor country. But we have a situation where we Liberians have chosen to be poor because on election day, we choose people because of bags of rice, money, and liquor, and other things. I call those politicians who come with those things political investors. And when they invest, they get to power, they reap from the investment, they get a profit through corruption. I want to stop that. I want to transform Liberia in such a way that will fight corruption, make sure that there's strong rule of law, so that everybody is under the rule of law to sustain our peace and provide the atmosphere for socio-economic development. Because I strongly believe that Liberia can be much better than it is today. That's why I have a 10-point agenda for better Liberia. And top of it is rule of law. Second, fighting corruption. I want a situation where all pregnant women in this country will go to hospital free of charge. Where children under the age of 5 will go to, children under the age of 5, people 65 years old and above can go to hospital free of charge. Look at our road. I want to put public yards in all of the 15 countries that have yellow machines to constantly maintain the roads so that they don't get cut off. Like now, it's even in dry season. If you decide to go to Monrovia now, you will spend a week on the way. We shouldn't have it like that. So I want to change that situation. I want to mechanize rice production to the extent that there will be so much rice in the country, our government buying machines and giving it to all of the farmers throughout the country to grow rice, so that in Sinoe here, we can have more than 20 farms that are as big as the Sinoe Rubber Corporation farm. And I believe that you have farms like that rice will never finish and the price of rice will never go up. I also want a situation whereby we have, I talk about road, I talk about rice, I talk about the medical situation, education. Today, many children in this country are not going to school because their parents are. I want to have free primary and secondary education so that children from kindergarten to 12 will go to school, all government schools in the country, without paying any fee, without buying copybooks, without buying pencils, without feeding themselves, without buying textbooks, so that no parent can have excuse not to send a child to school. So I have the 4 major things that I believe can transform Liberia.
These are plans that you have, or let's say, after you shall have won the election. But Liberia problem with politicians has always been the issue of what has he done? What has he done? And I believe with all of your patrol, I believe you have visited many countries, and some of those questions have come to you. What have you done?
That is true. And what I've done, I don't think it means whether I planted a big cassava farm or rice farm for myself, or whether I have a rubber farm. They mean what have I done for the people of Liberia? I just mentioned that I'm a teacher. I taught people who are serving the country today. That is a contribution to our country. Besides that, I transformed prosecution. When I was Solicitor General, I found out that all of the county attorneys except the one in Monrovia were not lawyers. Some of them were not even high school graduates. I changed that situation and made government to appoint only law school graduates as county attorneys in the 15 counties for the first time since 1847. That is contribution. I sent Africanus Gabriel, who was the first educated county attorney in this county since 1847. I went to Ministry of Labor. I found out that so many non-Liberians, foreigners, were doing jobs that Liberians should do. But I found the reason was that the work permit fee was low, $400. So I met with my staff and I convinced the president that I should increase the fee. I issued regulation number 17, increased the work permit fee from $400 to $1,000. Once I did that, most of the employers in this country reduced their foreign employees and started employing more Liberians. So I was responsible for a lot of Liberians being employed. But more than that, I made a Ministry of Labor to make money. Because some employers wanted to stay employed foreigners, I said, yes, if you paid $1,000, you'll get. That year, in 2010, Ministry of Labor made $6 million. And the maximum Ministry of Labor I ever made was $500,000. So my policy brought transformation. I'm a person who gets to an office and transforms that office. I was president of the Bar Association. The bar used to be begging for money. I used the own bar laws to make all lawyers to pay their dues. Today, the bar does not beg anyone for its convention and assembly or anything. In fact, we are running 5 legal aid clinics that the USAID used to help us. But USAID left, and because of my administration changing the situation to make all lawyers pay, we are still carrying on the legal aid program, 5 counties without asking anyone to help us. So many things. And then people used to wear coats to wear and take grip and go to the different courts as lawyers. I changed that situation. Today, for you to be a lawyer, you have to have a license. I introduced that for the first time in the history of Liberia. In order to have this license, you have to be a law school graduate. You have to meet all of the criteria for becoming a lawyer, paying your dues and levies. You have to pay your inner court. You are in good standing. So I promoted the improvement in the practice of law. Nobody who does not have this can pay inner court.
But many people still believe in the issue of because politicians over the past years made voters to believe that in order for you to be elected to the House or to the presidency, sometime in that area.
But let me say this. I'm not going to mention. I don't consider that important. I consider what you do for the public when you hold public office, when you do with it, and that's why I talk about my experience. Because you see, I can show you in an auditorium and library that I built in my hometown in memory of my father, who was a teacher for more than 40 years. But I don't consider that to be important. I created the Cllr Gongloe Educational Resource Center that is being used by the teachers of NIMBA to hold a workshop and all that. But those things are not important. They could get burned today. They could be destroyed by anything. What is important is what you do to transform people's lives in public service. That's why I don't like to refer whether I build one bridge, and it's not important. And so people, should not be bringing burglaries. People should say what they are able to do. That's why I'm coming with the message of transformation. Every county I've gone to, I've gone to 300 towns in Liberia, and everybody tells me, you are the first presidential aspirant to come to our town. You are the first to speak. You are the first to speak the way you speak. You only bring us burglaries, money, and they don't tell us what to do. In fact, on this radio, I'm challenging Sinoeans that anybody who comes to you and say they want to be representative, senator, I'm not even sure whether presidential candidates or aspirants will pass through the path that pass going to Chuazon, Pinetown, I've done to them, other places. But let me say this. If you ask some of the people, you want to be representative, what's the function of a member of the House of Representatives? They will not tell you. They will tell you our bill rule, our bill clinic, which is not their function. You ask candidates, what is the function of a senator? They will not tell you. Many of them go there because they see their friends getting $30,000 legislative engagement fund, every year. And now, for the past 2 years, they've gotten $60,000 each. So right now, this year, every district has more than 5 people running to be members of the House of Representatives. You got to see the way the people are enjoying. They too want to go enjoy, not because they want to serve the people.
And do you think it's not turn a Liberia, or let's say Liberian, just away or leave from the issue of voting people based on what they bring to you during a political time? If yes, what is the best way you think that many people's minds can be deviated from this issue?
Somebody told me once, if you want to tell a deaf, dumb, and blind person that his mother is dead, keeping you hungry for the whole day. In the evening, you'll be crying, "Mom, mom, mom," because there's nowhere to tell them. The way Liberian people are suffering now, they never suffered like this before. And they know it's because of the government in power that they are suffering. Therefore, they are not going to put that government in power. Because southeastern Liberia, where the president comes from, it takes now not less than 1 week to get to Ganta. And you will even take 1 week if you take motorbike. If you take motor vehicle, you might take a month. You might get stuck on the way. Well, I've never seen that level of suffering. And the same thing is happening in Lofa. The same thing is happening in Bapolo and many parts of the country. Then the number of beggars in this country has increased. Everybody is begging. Liberians are very proud people. They never used to beg like that. But this government has increased so much poverty. Has increased poverty so much that even educated people who can't find a job are begging their friends for cups of rice. How lower can we go? I say metaphorically, just by saying that this government has taken Liberia to the ICU, to the emergency room, the intensive care unit. There is no way any thinking Liberian who cares for himself, not for other people, but just care for himself and his family to live a comfortable life will put anybody in power, because this government has created so much hardship. And like deaf and dumb people, I think they will know that Mama is dead, and therefore it will change.
Now the trading issues on the social media or speculations all around the country is Councillor Gongloe trying to form partnership with the Unity Party. Incoming.
I don't even want you to finish. That is not true. I'm running for the presidency of Liberia, and I'm a front runner right now because I've gone to 300 towns and no presidential aspirant, not including the one, even including the one in power, has gone to even 50 towns. And there is no way I cannot win, because power belongs to the people. I'm going to them and telling them why they should register. In fact, it's because of my going around and appearing on radio stations that a lot of Liberians will register, and they will register because they want to vote for me.
So are you also contemplating of announcing your running mate?
Very soon.
Very soon.
Very soon.
And now of recent, we are observed in Liberia that it's very difficult for one political party now to come victorious in the election. Are you also trying to...
It's simply because many of the people who have been vying are people whose records are not clear. People whose records are not clear. But I would tell you, for example, when Ellen and George Weah became front runner, people were hesitant to elect a footballer. And they were right. Now they know that they're right. And Ellen had been associated with the war and all of that. People were accused of supporting MPF. So a lot of people who experienced the war did not want to elect her. So Liberia were caught with two difficult choices. In the case of Cllr, a lot of Liberians were afraid that if Cllr were not elected, maybe there would be a war, and they said, look, let's just give him power. But they had two people who were popular in different ways, but did not have absolute popularity because of different question marks. In this case, I believe that people can make clear choice about me because of my track record of doing what is good in my profession. If you watch my video, every country we've gone to, almost every time we've gone to, there have been testimonies, unexpected testimonies from people. The Bible says, good name is better than silver and gold, and I believe that I live within the scope of that advice from the Bible. And I believe I can win this election first round. There are some opposition politicians who see what I'm doing and want to join me. So obviously there will be a lot of support coming because everybody wants Liberia to take a different direction, and they strongly believe that I have the recipe for that.
You have been making news both home and abroad, more especially when it comes to your Sinoe, what you call me the horse in your hand, the broom. Most of the time people see you swooping all around, and people in the Southeast sometimes wonder, what is the interpretation behind the broom?
The broom is a sweet corruption from the government of Liberia. It's a symbol showing that when I get to power, I will take measures. In fact, I have a 12-count prescription that will end corruption in this country. And somebody will say, no, you can't end corruption. You can minimize it. No. Your objective should be to end it. If it is minimized, fine. But your objective should be to end it. Nobody says, I'm going to minimize. If you say, I'm going to minimize, you may never end it. First, so I have several steps. Step one.
Yeah, because we're coming to that.
Step one. I will make the salaries, the asset declaration, the benefits of the president known to all Liberians. I will put on the internet. Similarly, I will put on the internet the salaries and benefits of all in the 3 branches of government: Chief Justice, Speaker, President, Pro Tem, Justices, Judges, everybody, so that the Liberian people can know. Why is that important? Because if you know that the minister is making less than $50,000 a whole year, and you become minister in 2 months, you start building a $500,000 house right here and he's from Sinoe, you start building a $500,000 house in Joazon or in Greenville City here. You on the radio will say, listen, we are seeing on the internet that this minister is not even making $100,000 in 2-3 years. Where you got money from to build $500,000 when the code of conduct says no government official can receive any gift more than $250? That is illegal to receive gift more than $250. So now you will be announcing it, and because you announce it as president in Monrovia, I will hear that my minister is building such a house. I will just call and say, Minister, is it true that you're building a $500,000 house in Greenville? He starts scratching his head and say, you are fired. I will fire him and turn him over to the Liberian Anti-Corruption Commission for full investigation and prosecution. When he's found guilty, he will go to jail for 5 to 10 years. And not only that, all his assets, including the balance of the money in the bank, the houses he built, the cars he bought, everything will be taken from him, and his family will start suffering. And the question I've asked everywhere, and the answer has been no. If 5 ministers are in jail for 10 years each, and all of the properties are taken, and the family members are suffering, will any minister want to steal from government again? The answer has always been a resounding no. I ask the next question: will anybody who wants to steal want to come in Cllr Gongloe's government? The answer has also been a resounding no. That means we have enough money under my government to maintain our roads, to grow food, to make sure that the school system is good, that all children go to school, no volunteer teacher, all teachers are paid for, the teachers are pension are paid, teachers are well paid, nurses are well paid, civil servants are well paid, police officers are well paid, and that our hospitals and everything, all of these things are well taken care of. But more than that, it is because of corruption that we have this Hammer business, the Bojo business. Because when they want to be representing the election coming, children start disappearing. Because some crooked medicine man, they call them witch doctor, will say, if you really want to win the election to be representative or senator, bring me human being heart. If you want to be minister, bring me human being labor. You want to be managing director of a government corporation, bring me human being harbor. You want to be this, bring me human being this. But when we stop corruption, then that market will not be attractive again. Nobody will want to kill. And our children will be going to farm after school in the villages. Women will be going to farm alone. I was in my own time, in my own country, neighbor, people say, we're scared to go on the farm unless a woman and her husband are going to farm. When I was growing up in Mela Public School, going to Mela Public School, my mom, I was 7 years old, my mom used to say, when you come from school, come meet me on the farm to eat here. Nobody in this country can tell a 7-year-old child not to come meet there on the farm because of fear. So when we stop corruption, Liberia will be safe and Liberia will have money to develop this country.
What I would like to say, Councillor Gongloe, been one of the persons that have been working over the past time, from Cllr, administration, Ellen, or what have you, and up to present. And he has really done been talking about the issues of corruption over the past. What now?
The person does not know me well. Anybody who says it. There are things that I can remind me. I wrote the first code of conduct, the draft law. I presented it to Amos Sawyer as interim president in 1991 for the interim legislative assembly to come up with a code of conduct. The interim legislative assembly didn't do it. People don't like that, to be controlled. Even I contributed to the drafting of the code of conduct that is being used now. My colleague and friend Ibale Wana was a consultant, and as Solicitor General, I used to go to Governor's Commission to make contribution to that. And so, corruption business, we've been talking. I was a member of the Student Unification Party. We used to criticize government in the 70s. Now, under Ellen, I was Solicitor General, and I say I contributed it. But let me say how much I did. I prosecuted former head of state and many top people in government for corruption as Solicitor General. Then, when I became Minister of Labor, I found out that President Cllr were not having the political will to prosecute people in your government for corruption. So because I was reluctant, I resigned as Minister of Labor. I resigned principally because she didn't want to fight corruption, among other reasons. But that was the main reason. So for someone who resigned, and I resigned, and I called for a resignation. I say President Cllr is not fighting corruption. She bringing a children into government and nepotism. I started criticizing out there. Harshest critic of President Cllr, and I've been a harshest critic of this government. President George Weah, for example, in the first 8 months of his government, built 47-story buildings opposite the Baptist Seminary. It has built so many. He tore down a new building here on 9th Street, and he had built mansions there. You know, and because he did it, everybody in his government, a lot of people in his government started building mansions too. You know, then $16 billion disappeared. Then $25 million disappeared. All these different things.
But you didn't like in the justice system all the time?
No.
Okay.
No. I was a lawyer. I'm still a lawyer. But I criticized. I've not been silent in this country, never. I will not tell her I was not in government. In fact, because I was criticizing Taylor for corruption and human rights abuses and lack of respect for the law, I was jailed by Taylor in 2002 and tortured severely to the extent that for more than 3 months I was working like a crippled man in this country for standing up for the rights of people. People know that. So no one will tell you I've been silent in this country. I've never been silent on the issue of corruption. But that's why I want to go there now and tell people how to govern without being corrupt.
President George Weah, now as a father, have you been able to sometimes meet top official of the president and present some plan in which that corruption will be fought in the country, and you sometimes, let's say, your request?
I don't really have that moral obligation because I'm not in CDC. What I did for CDC when they were in opposition, I used to represent them free of charge when they used to send them to jail. Moba Molu, Jefferson Coaches, Kalasco, Janji Baba, the Superintendent Grand Bazaar. Many of the current officials of government were people that I gave free legal services to when they were in opposition as a human rights lawyer. I did that. I'm opposed to them. I'm in opposition. I strongly believe that they could not run government, and I'm being proven right today. You know, for you to take an advice, you must have the education, the experience, and the mental ability to accept that advice. You know, it's like when I was a Solicitor General and the UN came and said they wanted to train my candidate attorneys. I said, I don't have training for candidate attorneys. They must have the fundamental. They must be lawyers first before they can be trained. So you're talking about people who are inherently corrupt, people who don't have the knowledge to lead, they don't have the experience. What am I going to do there to advise them? But I speak openly to them on the public radio, and they don't listen. Once in a while, when I have an opportunity to speak to some of them, I do. And for example, I said, look, I will provide free legal service for all journalists and anybody who criticizes government. As soon as I said that, former Minister McGill called me on the telephone. I heard you are saying you will provide free legal service for people who can insult government and criticize government and say things. I say, You didn't send me to law school, and my own legal knowledge I will use to do so. Because they believe that people should not criticize government by being there to defend journalists and people who speak against government. That is my function. That is how I'm participating in reshaping the destiny of my country by criticizing and suggesting publicly, not privately. I don't have that moral obligation to speak to them privately.
All right, folks, if you just joining us, is a reminder that you are listening to a special interview with Councillor Tiawan Gongloe, and we have gone roughly 33 minutes into this discussion this evening. So we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to be taking calls from you, the public, to interact with the presidential aspirant of the Liberian People Party, LPP, and he is Councillor Tiawan Gongloe. He is inside the county,
and
he's here to talk to the Sinoe citizens on the voter registration exercise and also on his own platform. Thank you. So let's quickly go to our music box and quickly take a short break to be right back.
It's okay?
Yes. It's going well. Don't forget your contribution to the land rights.